Fallout New Vegas might be one of the greatest RPGs of all time. Even today, with how old the game is, people still regard it as one of the best Fallout games and one of the best RPGs. Rightfully so, it has a lot going for it. One of the biggest things that it has going for it is just the story and how many choices you have in the game. Now, keep in mind, I've only played New Vegas 3 and 4, so those are the three we're going to be talking about, but I think a lot of people have only played those three, so it makes sense. But when it comes to the way the story is structured, every NPC you interact with, whether that's a minor character or a major character, has some kind of influence on the story, and how you interact with them and what you choose to do with them is going to impact the ending you get. Just compared to the other games in the series, the amount of choices you get in Fallout New Vegas is just 1,000 times more in depth than 3 and 4 by just a long shot. It's ridiculous. I recently played 4, and even though there's a decent amount of factions and NPCs you interact with, a lot of them just don't really get a spotlight in the ending, so you don't really know what happens to them, so it kind of makes all those quests you do feel pretty pointless. Versus in New Vegas, you can just meet some random NPC that doesn't seem like their story matters or your interactions with them matter, but at the end of the game, you'll find out how your actions impacted their story and just the world as a whole. It just makes the game 1,000 times more replayable because you're going to want to see what every single ending is, so you're going to have to interact with as many NPCs as you can, complete quests for as many factions as you can. I've replayed this game countless times, and I'll still do playthroughs where I find different NPCs or different endings I didn't know existed. It just gives you a reason to come back to the game. I'm hoping moving forward in the new Fallout games that they kind of go back to that structure where you just have a countless amount of endings, so you can just keep coming back over and over again. But I will say definitively that New Vegas definitely has the best story in the series, and I definitely think it's the game I find myself replaying the most. So it definitely beats out 3 and 4 in that category for sure. No doubt in my mind. As for the combat, I think it depends on your taste. I mean, Fallout 3 and New Vegas are more RPG-like in nature, versus 4 is kind of more first-person shooter oriented with just how the weapons work and how aiming works. This is also the first game in the series to add the ability to aim down sights. So it's a little janky, but it's still really satisfying to use. You also have a little bit of weapon customization, but not a ton. Like, you have the ability to add a faster bolt to like a bolt action to make it shoot faster, or optics, like limited optics. So that part was nice. It's not as in-depth as 4, but it's not like Fallout 3 where you have no options at all. But New Vegas has my favorite arsenal in the series. I just love the Western themed weapons you get, like all the cowboy repeater, the trail carbine, the 357, and the 44 mag revolvers are just so much fun to use. But another thing I think New Vegas does really well when it comes to the combat is you just get gradually exposed to better weapons as you level up. Because in my case, I usually level up my barter skills so I can just trade better and I get better deals at shops. So I just go to like the gun runners or Van Graffs and I just buy up the best weapons in the game once I hit like level 20 or higher. I'll get the marksman carbine or the anti-material rifle, and I just love using those weapons in the game because it just makes you feel like a badass by the time you get to that point. Like, you just feel like an indestructible killing machine. But because the game is more RPG in nature, even if you aim well down sights, how accurate you're going to be and how effective you're going to be with weapons is just how many points you put into like your gun skills, your plasma skills, perception. And I kind of like that aspect. I like the more RPG-esque aspect. Even though I enjoy the shooting and the gameplay in 4, if I actually want to play an RPG and have that RPG feel to it, I'm going to play New Vegas when it just comes to a Fallout game, because it's like the most RPG Fallout game. VATS is just as satisfying as it is to use in 3 and 4. It's just that good arcadey fun, especially like with the Western guns. You just feel like a future cowboy gunslinger. I mean, I feel that way in every Fallout game, but in this one specifically because I can wear a cowboy hat while I do it, and that's fun. So I think whether or not the combat is the best in the series is just going to kind of depend on if you want that good RPG like combat or if you want a more FPS feel. Because if you want a more FPS feel, I would play Fallout 4. But if you just want to use VATS all the time and kind of rely on like perception and your skills and perks you invest in, I would definitely play New Vegas. But since VATS is so fun to use in this game, like I said, especially with the arsenal, I found myself enjoying Fallout New Vegas a lot more than any other game in the series, especially if I put like a Western soundtrack over it. It's like playing Red Dead Redemption. One thing I wasn't a huge fan of is just how armor works in this game. I feel like there's only a couple sets of decent armor, which is like the combat armor and the recon armor, that actually feel effective once you get to the later stages in the game. But even like Raider armor or metal armor you find doesn't really make it feel like you have a higher damage threshold. Everything just kind of feels the same. I was really surprised. This playthrough was the first playthrough I've ever played in New Vegas where I got power armor. And once I got the power armor, I felt pretty much the same as when I just had combat armor on. And that was disappointing because power armor is supposed to make you feel like this big, like Terminator type character. And when I got it, I was still just getting one-tapped by certain enemies, and that was just really frustrating because once you get power armor, you're supposed to feel like you've made it and you're indestructible, but I didn't quite get there. So when it comes to armor and crafting, I do prefer Fallout 4 just because that game gives you a little bit more of a reason to scavenge for just random items so you can craft better armor. It actually feels like your efforts translate into a higher damage threshold and better armor versus in New Vegas. I didn't really feel that. But, you know, with how old this game is, I wasn't expecting much. I was just a little disappointed when my power armor felt like it was made out of paper. Of course, a Fallout game is only as good as the world that it's set in, and I think New Vegas has the best setting out of the three by far. New Vegas is just so iconic at this point. I mean, even in the Fallout show, I feel like the second season of the show was better just because it was set in New Vegas versus the first season. I mean, that's how I feel. Let me know in the comments below if you agree with that. I mean, a post-apocalyptic Western is such a great theme for an RPG game, especially obviously a Fallout game. And the characters in the world just reflect that. You have like prospectors, small town sheriffs, you have ranchers that you might have to help out, you have a military / government that's trying to kind of colonize and bring justice to the wasteland. It has all those aspects that classic Western movies have. Any good Western movie has to have those aspects, and it translates over to video games. Because, I mean, Red Dead has all those aspects too, and that's one of the things that makes Red Dead great, and same thing with New Vegas. And I feel like Westerns aren't done in video games as often. Besides this and Red Dead, I can't really think of any other Western games. I mean, it's just such a niche genre that when it comes along in a video game, I just think it stands out a lot more. And it should be that way because Western movies are awesome. Every time I watch one, it just raises my testosterone and I end up with a handlebar mustache somehow. I mean, DC and Boston are both good settings for a Fallout game, but I just found them to be kind of bland. I mean, if I'm comparing 3 and 4, they just kind of feel the same. It's just kind of a crowded city, and half the map isn't really explorable because they're just buildings you can't enter. It got really old really fast. Just find a big urban sprawl that you can't really interact with, just kind of a boring setting for the Fallout universe, so I'm kind of hoping moving forward they shy away from that. I also just think New Vegas has the best variety when it comes to the world, because I mean, yeah, you have small towns, but you also have obviously New Vegas with the Strip and all the casinos. You've got the Powder Ganger prison, the Brotherhood of Steel base, all the NCR outposts and bases and ranger stations you can go to. It just has such a big variety that every town, every settlement, every casino feels completely different. Versus 3 and 4, I feel like everything was just kind of interchangeable. Every settlement, every town was kind of the same, more or less, maybe except for like Diamond City and Rivet City, and 3 and 4 were a little bit different, but everything else just kind of blended in after a while. So to give a straight answer, do I think New Vegas is still the GOAT in 2026 as far as the Fallout franchise goes? I'm going to say yes. I still think it is. I think it's still by far the best game in the franchise. And a big part of that is just a combination of how great the world is and the arsenal of weapons you get. Taking a post-apocalyptic Western world and filling it with characters that each have their own motivations and agendas, and then making it so that every interaction you have has potential to alter the story is just so good. It's so fun. And then giving me the ability to have a perfect blend of like classic firearms from the Western era and modern/futuristic weapons just gives you an endless amount of options to customize how you play the game, what kind of build you're going to have. It just is perfect. And I read somewhere that Obsidian is making the next Fallout game, which would be great because I think the perfect Fallout game would honestly just be like a remake of New Vegas, but take the crafting system from 4 and just implement it so that you can customize your weapons and your armor the way that you want, but keep everything else the same. But yeah, were just my thoughts on New Vegas. Don't forget to like and subscribe, helps the channel grow, and I will see you guys on the next one. Later.